Considered as the father of digital revolution, a massive innovation and a design perfectionist, he had a net worth of $8 billion in 2010. There is not a single executive or creator in technology industry more important than him. He is one of the most creative and daring CEOs of all time, a global icon who has shaken the rules of technology and media. His products are adored by millions of people across the world. The company that he started in the garage is worth more than $742 billion today. For over 30 years, computers, music, movies and mobile phones have all been transformed by none other than Steve Jobs of Apple. Today, we talk about the fascinating journey of one of the most loved entrepreneurs of all time, Steve Jobs, and this is his biography. Born in San Francisco, California, to parents that were unable to care for him, Steve Jobs' early life was a struggle for identity. He was an adopted child, raised by caring parents. One of the early wishes of his biological parents was academic success for Steve Jobs. However, young Steve Jobs was far from being an academic. Despite his immense intelligence, he wasn't interested in schooling, apart from a few select subjects. The teenage Steve, who was raised in Mountain View in the 1970s, was much more interested in pranking phone computers, creating innovative business ideas, and messing around with machinery with his close friend Steve Wozniak. Steve's approach to education has been explained very publicly. He only felt that he could really learn after he had dropped out of college. In 1976, when Jobs was just 21 years old, he and his partner Steve Wozniak started Apple Computer. The duo started in Steve Jobs' family garage, funding their entrepreneurial venture by Jobs selling his Volkswagen bus and Wozniak selling his beloved scientific calculator. Jobs and Wozniak are credited with revolutionizing the computer industry by democratizing the technology and making machines smaller, cheaper, intuitive, and accessible to everyday consumers. Wozniak conceived of a series of user-friendly personal computers, and with Jobs in charge of marketing, Apple initially marketed the computers for $666 each. Initial success with the Apple I pushed Jobs and Wozniak to create bigger and better computers, and by the late 1970s, they had created what would become Apple's first big success, the Apple II, a high-speed business workstation. The computer was a hit in their native California, and Jobs soon became a millionaire from the computer's heavy sales throughout the state and country. However, things turned sour for Jobs when he sought to expand Apple further, hiring former Pepsi chief executive John Sculley to lead Apple in a new direction. The experienced chief executive had no patience for Jobs' controversial and demanding management style, and after 2 years, they had no time for each other. In a boardroom meeting, Steve Jobs was fired from the company that he founded. His dismissal at Apple ignited a fire in Jobs, one that burned for the remainder of his career. Just a year later, he purchased a struggling animation studio from Star Wars mastermind George Lucas. It bled money for over 10 years, money that Jobs himself was spending on the studio, until it had a fantastic 1997 hit with the movie Toy Story. Likewise, he created another company and called it Next, which specialized in high-end workstations for the business community. However, it was a commercial failure, and Next bled money until it was purchased by Apple a decade later, bringing Steve Jobs back to the company that he built. Over the next few years, Jobs went from a small position at Apple to the company's interim CEO and eventually taking on the position full-time. Steve Jobs' second period at Apple produced many of the company's most successful devices. From the iPad to the iMac, the Jobs-led Apple went ahead of its previous milestones and grew into the biggest company in the technology sector. Although it took a heavy blow to set Jobs on the right path, His experience reflects a true genius and is regarded as the greatest second act in business history. However, early in 2009, reports circulated about Jobs' weight loss, some predicting his health issues had returned. Jobs had responded to these concerns by stating that he was dealing with hormone imbalance. After nearly a year out of the spotlight, Steve Jobs delivered a keynote address at an invite-only Apple event on September 9, 2009. Later, on October 5, 2011, Apple sadly announced that its co-founder had passed away. After battling pancreatic cancer for nearly a decade, Steve Jobs died in Palo Alto when he was just 56 years old.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life, when I was 20. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, and don't settle.
Despite the cutthroat competition from rival tech companies like Google and Microsoft, Steve Jobs made sure that none of those bothered the success path of Apple and kept working hard till the last breath to make sure that Apple remains as the top tech company in the world. He is a true inspiration for every budding entrepreneur and will remain as the hero of the tech industry.